Welcome back to another edition of Dogging It. I am Molina Mike, and it's what day is it, Mike? It's Friday.
it's Friday. It's breakfast with Molina.
Yeah, it's the morning show. Hope
It's
hope
the
you guys
morning
are.
show. Mike and Mike
Hope
in the morning.
Mike and Mike in the morning. No, we're definitely gonna get sued there, buddy. Don't say that.
No, they've been broken up for years.
I really enjoyed waking up watching Mike and Mike in the morning.
Yeah, I did too for a couple of years. Yeah,
Um, all right, Mike, U.S. Open. Let's jump on into it. There was a lot to go and talk about,
yeah.
and that's what we're gonna go and do. Let us know in the chat if you can hear us. If the audio is coming in, great. Hopefully the video is as well. Hit the like button, hit the share button, get it out there.
The
Tons
audio
of
is much
stuff
more important than the video with us.
with us too, without a doubt. Yeah, as long as you can go and hear us, that's our main concern. Big day yesterday, Mike. Big day. Where do you want to start off with, buddy?
Oh well, it's we're in the U.S. and it's the U.S. Open, so I guess you start with the U.S. guys, and it was a really interesting day. There were five U.S. guys, seven U.S. guys in the final
Start the day.
64 to start the day. Big story obviously was Shane going down to Alex Kazakis. That was a huge match. I mean, Shane was really pushing for six. He got behind 5-0 and then made a typical Shane train run. I mean, he was stalking the table. He was burying shots. He went up 7-5 and then scratched on the break. And that kind of stalled everything, right? Because, he ended up 7-7. Then he took the lead 8-7 and missed a long bank on a one after the break, which I really thought was not that difficult a shot for him.
He played it. He played it two ways. He was more worried about trying to hold that cue ball,
And I'm kind of surprised that he played it two ways because it looked through that comeback part of the match like he wasn't ducking anything. He was firing at whatever he could fire at.
No, like cross sides he was going for.
Yeah,
That especially
hard.
there was yeah. I mean, there was one where I think he went for a bank in the corner, drew down table for shape, and it was just a million miles an hour. But he was in rhythm. He was feeling good. And there was a point in the match where when Alex was coming back, then he hangs up a two ball, and we and you were in a group chat, Mike, and I wonder if you'll say here what you said there when it comes to Alex and when he hung up that two ball.
I just said that's the shot that's the Alex shot I've been waiting for the whole match. You knew at some point, and everybody does it, and it just
No, but
seems
Alex
to,
does it. Alex does it with a little bit more
yes, a
consistency
little style and finesse and
yeah.
really critical moments, right?
Yeah.
And he did it. I mean, he hung up a ball and that gave Shane a shot. But I'm going to give Alex a ton of credit. I messaged him yesterday and I didn't hear
Me
back
too.
from him because I think that match yesterday probably meant more to him than his winning the Masters. He had the big bugaboo at the Masters from the David Alcade year, and where he got criticized for his shots and things like that. But when he played Shane in the finals of the Masters, it was a runaway right from the start. And he didn't have any of that pressure of, is he going to dog it, right? Yesterday, he's playing Shane again in the U.S. Open, single elimination part of the tournament, and he blows a 5-0 lead, and it comes to the case game, and he's left with a
You
tricky
thought
shot
for
after the
sure. You thought for sure he's
yeah
gonna dog it and Shane's gonna go and win it. You
yeah
just knew.
and so for him to have dogged it at 7-7 and then come back and hold his stuff together, I thought that was huge win for Alex Kazakis, and couldn't be happier. I mean, I hate seeing Shane lose, but Alex Kazakis one of the nicest, straightest up guys that you'll meet in pool, and so to see, I was actually happy for him that he didn't crumble in a hill game with Shane.
He was the only guy in that room that was rooting for him.
Yeah, and he knew it.
Realize
You
that
could tell
he was
when
the
he made
only
that
guy in
final.
that room. Yeah,
Alex is a very humble guy, even as a
he
winner.
is. He is.
And when he won and he started beating, pounding his heart with his hand, that was like, whoa, this meant a lot to him. And he knew that he was the only guy in the room that was rooting for Alex.
few takeaways for me, similar along the lines of for you, Mike, and that was it was more of Alex has always kind of had that, reputation about him, and he'll admit as much. When that bank laid up, I think it was on that case game. I'm thinking, here we go. We're about to see some fireworks here
Yeah.
because there's no way you go and duck. It lays so good. The other, I think it was the
And
five ball,
he was originally looking at the jump.
which no, I'm talking about the. Oh yeah. No, wait a minute. That was
In the
for
final
the kick.
game?
That was for the kick. But there was
Yeah, the
maybe,
kick.
yeah,
Oh,
there
yeah,
was
the bank. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, the bank. Yeah,
um
yeah.
that kick though. I tell you what, he wanted zero part of that kick. I mean, nothing. Listen. I play a lot of you know what, Mike, a lot of one pocket. That's a shot that comes up all the time.
Yeah.
And
I think,
Alex has been to the Derby. He knows.
yeah, he started looking at the jump, which was crazy.
It's
I think
close.
that he was afraid, he was scared to death of that long rail bank because the two was so deep in the pocket that he thought if he hits it flush at all, he's fouling it in. If he hits it long rail first, he might be going away from the three. So
I thought it was
he tried to come up short. You could tell when he was aiming the short side of it.
I thought it was more the slide that he was worried about.
Yeah,
That
could be.
that it's gonna go and widen out on him, and that's what
Because
he was
he hit it
uncomfortable with.
way short. Holy cow, did he hit
I
that
mean,
short? I mean, if he caught, like, it was a good thing that ball was dusty. Otherwise, he doesn't get any part of it because it was interesting. It was an interesting shot, but he held it together after that. Ran out. Good for him. That was a huge match.
It was more showing what this Alex is made of.
Yeah.
Versus Shane. We know Shane.
Yeah.
The guy won a world championship this year. We know his resume. Alex still has a lot of question marks. Whenever we talk to Laley, he mentioned as much to him, and he's got to. And when you're talking about making a Mosconi Cup run, which he is still on, by the way, he's still very much capable of making this team. The thoughts that come to mind are: is he going to go and dog it in big moments? When you're up 5-0 and you blow it, you think it's done with because we've seen that show from Kazakis before. Mad respect to him for what he did, for fighting back, for showing heart. That kick, though, I mean, it wasn't when he's going through that run, from being down 5-7, and as each game started, getting back in place, and you saw him, the pressure, the hands in the face, palms sweaty, you think, okay, this is the same old Alex that we've seen time and time again.
Yeah.
She really showed, like the Europeans say, his bottle.
He definitely showed his bottle. I mean, when he missed that two ball, when he hung that one up in the pocket, he they showed a picture of him. He was back in his chair and he threw his head back, and that was the exact thing I've seen from him. In
time again.
2018 Mosconi Cup when he left that 1-9 combination for Shane. They showed a picture of him sitting in the corner, same thing with his head straight back. I thought, oh my God, this guy's toast. But good on him. Too bad for Shane.
I was gonna say I wanted to see Shane go for 6, but
yeah,
you can't. Like the storyline of it, the ebbs and flows of the match. What it obviously means a lot more to Kazakis because here's the deal: there's no way Alex makes it on the team on a wild card. Zero.
No. He's got to, and he's still in this, and Mario is still in this. They've got to basically win the U.S. Open to punch their ticket for Team
But that's
Europe.
what I mean, though.
But that's so he's playing with that kind of pressure on top of playing Shane in the U.S. Open with everybody. So
the whole room was clapping for Shane every time Alex made a ball. It's dead quiet in that place, Mike. I mean, it was brutal.
Yeah, it was a good show for him.
He's a good guy. It's hard not to go and root for him. If you ever get the chance to go and talk to Kazakis, please do. You'll enjoy it. There was plenty of other matchups for the day, Mike. Which other one stood out for you when it came to the final 32?
How about Sky taking down Federer? I mean, Tyler. Tyler taking down Federer is huge. In a lot of ways. Everybody's talking about Federer as being a lock cinch for Team Europe, and Alex Laley pretty much said as much. But, all of a sudden, Federer goes into his first big open tournament of the year with everybody in it and trips over the line against Alexa, right? Had a big lead. Wheels came off. He admitted it as much. Then he goes in final 64. single elimination, plays Tyler, gets a little bit of a lead, and Tyler comes back and played great.
Right.
But Tyler didn't get a lot of gifts. But all of a sudden, you know, with Mario and Alex Kazakis taking a run at points for Team Europe, Federer's he's kind of getting, you know,
He's getting a little tight
yeah,
today.
he's getting a little tight there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it wasn't just the Alexa match. He started off with Cohen Bell and gave Cohen a million chances. Um, it's he was a heavy favorite against Tyler, and I'm gonna get to Tyler here in a minute. But when it comes to Federer, that's a match you got to go and win because I think right now, and even when we had Laley on, you knew it's his pretty much spot to go and lose, right? Tyler's kind of got a reputation in his own right,
Yeah.
and like I said, with Federer being the heavy favorite, that's a match you got to go and put away. You had a chance to go and put him away, and you didn't. Um, it makes for a very interesting Friday at the U.S. Open, which for me, I love Mike. We talked about storylines and potential ones that could come, to a head, and this is something that I'm very happy to go and see when it comes to Mario and Alex. But more than Federer losing, this was a lot of what that kid from Wisconsin was made of, Mike, because he showed some balls and he was it wasn't just the risk that he was taking, it was the execution, it was the moment. He knows he's a dog to those guys on paper. He went and stood up, and Tyler's one of the first ones to go and tell you that he's in that same class, and you kind of take it with a grain of salt. Boy, 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 did I tell you, his game was sharp yesterday. And to beat Federer, knowing that no one expects that out of you, and you
Right.
got a lot, and really, his run yesterday was his only chance at making the Mosconi Cup
Right.
because I don't think he had any chance on being on that team until he showed what he did yesterday, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be back in the conversation a little bit. We talked about Billy yesterday, and Billy had a lousy U.S. Open. He hasn't really done a lot all year. I mean, he didn't have a lot, of opportunity, but he didn't show anything there. And Tyler comes through with this. Now, you get into team chemistry and things like that. Those are decisions that Jeremy's got to make. And we talk about Tyler's reputation. There's a little bit of reputation there with Team USA as far as how good a fit he is on that team. But as far as performance goes, yesterday had to make Jeremy sit up and take notice for sure.
This is what I'll say to that, is that I think Shane trusts Tyler. I do. I think Shane trusts Tyler because of his work ethic. Tyler has shown in spots in the Mosconi Cup, especially that first year, that he can go and handle it. And when I saw him yesterday, it looked like he could go and handle it, Mike.
Yeah,
It
it did
looked
look like
it,
he could handle it.
it,
I
it
mean,
looked
even
like
against Filler. I mean, he didn't lay down.
at all. He didn't go and lay down, Mike. I mean, he just showed that he was there to go and play. Jeremy brought it up during the commentary about Tyler being in big spots, and they kept on circling back to it, and then him coming up short, and that's not to be understated,
Right.
but it's all about taking steps, Mike. We just talked about Kazakis, and we've seen him go and take steps in his career from being quote unquote the dog to beating Shane 9-0 in a World Pool Masters final to now going and having a comeback win against Shane after blowing a big lead. There's steps within someone's career, Mike,
Yeah.
and I don't want to go and put too much on a Thursday afternoon at the US Open, but you're talking about Federer and you're talking about Filler. You're talking about two of the best players on earth, Mike. You're talking about two guys who are monsters, two guys who are intimidating, two guys who you expect to go and see there in Vegas, and you go and put up that kind of fight, and you take down um, Federer, and you put yourself in a really good spot to take down Filler. I think Tyler locked up his Mosconi Cup spot, not just because of what everybody else didn't do, but mainly because of what he did and what he did yesterday.
It's a good point, and we'll see if that's the case. It had to have made. I think coming into this, Tyler was not really that high on the list,
I don't think so either.
but there's no doubt that Jeremy's got to is giving it some thought today.
What would you do?
But it's a tough one because team chemistry is a big part of it, and they like Billy. They like every team. Alex talks about it with Jason. Every team likes to have that fiery guy, that emotional build-up guy. Tyler's not that guy.
Nope.
Shane's not that guy.
Nope.
Sky's not really that guy. Sky can be a little bit
He
like
can
that.
be a little bit.
He can be, but he's not, as fiery as. So where are you going to get that from? And how important it is that to you? That's up to Jeremy. That's he's the one who knows the team dynamic and what's important to him. For me personally, I think after yesterday, this close to Mosconi, I would probably take Tyler over Billy from a playing standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about the energy, it's going to be a little flat unless you can get Sky to be that firecracker for you, because the rest of the guys just don't have that, pep in their step when it comes to energy. I don't know how important that's going to go and be when you have a room full of energy that's going to be, going through your veins there,
Yeah.
because it's going to be a packed house there in Vegas. My main thing is, and I think I heard Jeremy say it yesterday, is about you want guys that are going to be able to fight.
Yeah.
Tyler showed that he can fight.
Yeah.
And not just from coming back, staying in it, beating beating Federer and then being in it with Josh. I can't. That was a great day yesterday for that kid. Like,
yeah.
even if he doesn't go and make the team, but if I had to pick, there's no way in hell I'm leaving him off now. There's zero chance that I go and leave.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how something like this comes up. One tournament, big tournament, huge tournament, right for Mosconi, and the last 11 months go right out the window.
Well, here's the thing, though, Mike, because there's been moments in the last couple of years where I've said I'm getting frustrated seeing Tyler lose to names that I've never heard of in events.
100%.
You can go back and look at majors, whether it's in Vegas or otherwise matchroom events, and there's just names where I'm like, who are these guys? And Tyler's just losing to them. But Tyler's also been in some pretty decent spots to take down some monsters. We saw it at the World Games whenever he was up. There was a few other instances that are just getting away from me here. But Tyler's been in moments, and we said he can't go and cross the finish line. Well, you know what, Mike? He crossed the finish line when it came to Federer.
Yeah.
Not going and finishing off Josh, it's a hair different because, and we talked about this yesterday, if that matchup was to go and be between Josh and Federer, that's the difference, Mike. That's the difference for me between those two, is that Josh just always does it. Josh, it's rare that you'll see him come up short whenever he gets a moment. If you give him a window, he's going to take it, he's going to knock it down, and he's going to go and just bully his way through because he's got that kind of style of 9-ball play on that particular stage, Mike.
Yeah.
Where Federer, like you said, we just haven't seen a lot of them on the matchroom stage going and do that.
Well, it would have been a lot to ask for Tyler to take off Federer and Josh back to back. So, Tyler did.
But he had a chance, though.
He did have a chance, and he showed up. So, yeah, that to me was a huge match yesterday. The other American players, Shane Wolford making the final 64 was big. There's a lot of guys who've lost. Oscar, it was funny yesterday, there were 3 Americans in the final 32, and none of them were named Shane or Sky. You had Oscar in there, you had Tyler in there, you had Greg Hogue in there. So it was fun to watch. Everybody's. I see people online harping there's no Americans in the last 16. Well, you know what? 7 Americans in the last 64, 3 in the last 32. That's a pretty good showing by the U.S. players in a big tournament when there seemed to be a lot on the line with Mosconi Cup implication, things like that. There's a lot of guys who stepped up and like the Brits say, showed some battle.
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have some angle to go and criticize. Look at last year's American performance relative to this year. The red, white, and blue made some progress, and I think that's
Yeah.
all you can go and ask for. Are you going to have 5 Josh Fillers like you probably can have in Europe?
No,
No.
but to me, this was trending up, which was
Of
good.
course. Yeah, for sure. No, that's what I was getting at, Mike,
Yeah.
And there was a
Yeah.
lot of takeaways. Greg Hogue, if he beats Mark Mr. Bosch, Greg Hogue's on the Mosconi Cup this morning, Mike. Greg Hogue is
You know
looking
what?
at is looking at at flights to Vegas this morning if he beats Mark Bosch, Mike.
And God bless him. He took a swing at it this year and was focused on it, and had that kind of same mentality as Oscar did, which is I'm doing what I can. I'm going to try to make this team, and he's he came really close. Do I think he did enough by making the final 32 here? I don't.
I don't either.
I think that he would have had to make 16 or 8, beat a couple of real world beaters to kind of like raise more eyebrows. I think he's just a couple of steps still down the ladder from who JJ's being considering at this point.
I agree. He would have had to go and steal one of those spots. When I mean steal it, I mean just earn his way on when it comes to his play, like his points rather, his rankings.
Yeah.
I think both of us, like for me, I think what Tyler did yesterday puts him ahead of Wolford.
Yeah, for sure, because he's got experience on top of it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to go and say, Mike. And he's been on that stage before. I think that it was a wild day because we just saw Tyler get like 9-2 to Shane, and you're like, nah, ain't got it.
Yeah.
And then to go and follow that up with what he did, it's pretty remarkable. But it's part of why the U.S. Open's great and why this format works when it comes to earning your way on.
Yeah.
We were there doing math, while matches are going on and seeing what could happen, what needs to happen. Yeah, it was just all in all, it was a phenomenal day, Mike. I mean,
it's a great day. I mean, yeah, good.
Oscar earns his way on, which for me was massive. When Greg went out, that means he was just a lock because I think even if Tyler, I think, would have won, Oscar still would have been third. So
yeah, Oscar still would have been ahead of Sky. So
yeah,
but I like that none of these guys limped in.
Yeah,
right? I mean, Oscar could have, if everybody kind of went out fast, Oscar still would have been in the right points. But Oscar went and won matches to solidify his spot, which to me was so huge from a expectation. I feel a lot better about the team. And
you want to have momentum, Mike. You want to have
absolutely.
momentum,
and so and show other people that you stepped up. And nailed down the spot with some wins. You didn't back into it at all. So, great for him.
We're gonna have him on sometime in the next few days or early next week.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, everybody knows that he's a really good friend of mine. I'm super proud of him. Him more so than Sky, even though Oscar was ahead when it came to points, because of everything that's happened with Oscar over the years in the Mosconi Cup. He's always going to be a little leery. And so you better believe that there was some like scoreboard watching, at least from those of us that are close to him and just keeping an eye on things.
Yeah, he wanted to make it a no doubter. He wanted to eliminate any thought that there could be any, thing moving against him. You win those points, you get in. He went and did it. Good for him.
I'm happy for my friend. That's for sure. So, another guy who made it on yesterday, Mike, is Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. I don't think there was any doubt. Well, there was a little bit of doubt just because of some of these guys who could go and spoil the party. But Ruiz locks up his spot on Team Europe, joining Josh Filler. And there's still a third spot up for grabs, Mike. And you got Alex and Mario, who could really turn this on its head.
Yeah,
starting today.
I mean, Albin's heavy favorite because Mario, Alex, one of them has to. I believe someone's got to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they have to win the event.
I think
to
outright.
take that spot. So one of those two guys would have to win the U.S. Open to earn his point spot on that team. So that would really upset the apple cart in terms of who Alex has available for his wild cards. But it would be interesting to see for sure.
Okay, let me just throw some hypotheticals because we did a couple of hypotheticals yesterday, including what if Tyler beats Federer, and which, by the way, I love what Tyler did, but goddamn, I wanted to go and see Federer and Federer go and play.
Yeah, I did too. Who didn't? Who didn't?
I really wanted to see that matchup, but I was not disappointed by the storyline, by the way. But anyway, Alex is someone that we got to go and talk about one more time because look at where he's at, Mike. I think he's in a good spot against Mark. But if somehow, Mike, let's just say he goes on to face either Ruiz or Chang. Let's say he wins that. And let's say he faces Carlo or Mario in the next one to go and get into a final. If he beats Shane and these other guys leading up to it, Mike, you're gonna still leave him off? If he starts having these kind of wins leading up,
here's what
we talked about, like, what have you done for us lately and the momentum, right?
Right. So if he goes all the way to like second or third, or Mario goes all the way to second or third and comes up a little short on the points, and the points are Albin, FSR, and Josh, then your wild cards are Federer, Jason, and Mario, or Federer, Jason, and Kazakis, whichever of those makes the deepest runs. That's probably going to be where you're thinking. Tough to pick either of those guys over Federer.
Jason's in.
Jason's in for sure. I mean, Alex has pretty much said that. So you're at one spot between Federer, Mario, and Alex.
What I'm saying though, like if you saw Federer go out against Tyler, and if you see one of these guys go on,
because really, if you're Alex, to me, in your mind, Federer is still basically a rookie on Mosconi Cup. He's never been in front of a crowd. So all of a sudden they're basically on equal footing. And Kazakis has actually played in a couple of them before. So, with Mario, he would be on equal footing as never having played before. But it would make for some interesting barstools talk. That's for sure.
We appreciate everyone who's tuning in. We got over 115 people watching over all the different platforms, which is awesome. Let us know who your picks are to go and make it through today. There's a ton of intriguing matchups who are coming up. Maybe who you're rooting for. There's a lot of Europeans, a lot of Asian players who are still left, but a lot of. Go ahead, Mike.
No, you want an interesting scenario.
Yeah,
Kachi could win this thing. You add 50 to Kachi, he could make the team. I mean, he's probably a stronger candidate to win this than Mario or Kazakis as far as talent goes. So, what happens if he's got Filler today? If he takes out Filler and moves through the rest of his field and wins it, he's on the team.
You mean by points he's on the team?
I believe so. He's a little over 20,000 now. So you add 50 to it. He's at 70, and Albin went out fast, so Albin's under 70.
Okay, who would you rather have on that team, Mike? You rather have Kachi if you're Lely? Would you rather have Kachi or would you rather have Kazakis or Mario?
That's a tough thing. I mean, Kachi's a good player, a great player, and he actually played relatively well last year. The knock on Kachi has always been that he's not really
team player,
doesn't
Mike.
mesh with the team, Nope. So again, that comes into a coach's decision. But Kachi could spoil. He's probably got the best, talent chance of spoiling the party, right?
I mean, maybe, but we just saw Mario. We just saw Mario in a semi. We just saw Mario in a semifinal.
If Kachi plays Mario, who's favored in a match, straight up?
In playing 9-ball, like in the tournament, you mean?
Yeah. And if he plays Kazakis, who's favored?
I mean, it's 9-8, maybe a game. It's close. It's close. It's close.
Right. So
real close.
So
maybe like
it's
minus 110 on the money.
So pretty interesting. It's fun to watch this stuff because it could really have a big impact on Mosconi, even Team Europe at this point. So
I don't think there's any way that Kachi gets in if he doesn't go and get an automatic bid. I just
right.
Don't. But
I agree. I agree 100%. But he could get that automatic bid because I think he can win this tournament.
You think he's going to beat Josh?
Well, someone's going to have to beat Josh to win the tournament if it's not Josh. So it's either Kazakis is going to have
Way,
to
way to
do
go
it.
out on a limb
Mario's
here,
going
Mike.
well, Kazakis is going to have to do it,
Yeah.
or Mario's going to someone's going to have to do it along the way if they want to steal that top spot because they got to win the tournament.
I just think about, like you mentioned, he's got 20 grand. Okay. I just think about what I've seen from these guys lately. I've seen Mario lately. I've seen Alex lately, but especially Mario lately.
Yeah, for sure.
And what Alex has the ability to do today, and I know it's a stretch because you got to fade a lot, but I tell you, if I'm going to go and pick any of these guys on the final 16 that I want to go and get my wheels greased with, Mark wouldn't be, too far down on that list to go and start with. You know, maybe because the rest of these guys are monster of monsters. It's a
Yeah.
who's who of talent, and you've already gotten the win of Shane off your back, so you can do it against anyone. Um, it would be tough, like if they come up just a hair short, or if any of those two guys are in a final, Mike. I tell you, like it, and I love Federer, I do, and I hope he makes the team, but it would be tough to go and say, you know what? Good luck next year to these other guys.
Yeah, no,
You know?
it is. I would hate to be in Alex's shoes if Mario or Kazakis make the final and lose and
Now,
don't get in by points.
if they go out early,
Yeah, then it's done.
yeah, then I think it's
Likely done. Who knows? I mean, I think there is a shadow of doubt in Alex's mind on Federer right now. I really do.
Yeah, but then
So,
that would mean somebody else has to come in and like take like what Tyler did yesterday. Someone from Europe's got
right.
to go and do today.
So you got three guys with a chance to make an impression in the next two rounds for sure, and that's Alex, Mario, and Clint and Kachi.
Well, you still got FSR, who's been
Well,
winning.
no, he's
everything.
already in. I'm
No,
just
yeah, but I'm
talking
just
about
saying,
guys
like,
as far as making an impression on Alex to
of
pick
course,
him
yeah.
to get picked over Federer. If someone was going to be picked with a wild card over Federer, it would have to be either Alex, Kachi, or Mario. If one of them makes the finals and loses and doesn't get picked, it's going to be a long winter for that guy.
Oh man, this is a great Friday for the U.S. Open, Mike.
Oh,
There's
it's
so many
great. I mean,
things that
there's
I'm
no
gonna be taking a
Americans in
look
the
at.
last 16, and I can't wait to watch this stuff because you look at these. I mean, we should go through some of the matches because it's only 15 minutes to post.
Yeah, let's do it, buddy.
But Lee Van tore up Copigny yesterday, right? I mean, Lee Van's playing. Yeah, Lee Van is playing great. And look at the guy he's playing, Chris Melling, who hasn't played 9-ball in 2 years, playing all that English 8-ball. And he
what
comes
kind of
in
a
here.
savant is that guy? Like to be able to pick up a cue and just
because he's such a rhythm.
Any table on planet Earth.
Yeah, he's
remarkable.
such a rhythm player, and when he feels it, and he is racing around the table, man, he's fun to watch. He's a great player. He can escape any kind of trap because he just kicks the ball as well as anybody in the world. And so, but him against Lee Van, it's a really interesting matchup.
Lee Van's going in as a favorite, but Chris,
no doubt about it. Lee Van's playing as well as anybody in this tournament.
Right. But Chris has got that magician nickname.
Yeah.
Well,
he should give that up because that's
he should. He really should. But Chris can go and do some things though, and he can go and I don't want to say spoil the party, but he can go and pull off an upset. I would love to see Chris go and make a run. I think he's gotten the short end of the stick for over the last few years. I remember whenever they were coming out with the rankings, and I'm looking at players who were left off. There was two of them that stuck out in my mind when they first announced this a year ago. One of them was James Aranis, because of his 9-ball prowess. But the other one that stuck out to me, Mike, was Chris Melling. The guy's won Derby and won in the last few years. If whatever game on a table, a billiard table that he's on, he can go and do something special. But he's up against it because Lee Van's playing real good right now.
Yeah, he's playing real good. And what did we say when we were picking our fantasy draft? I kept saying, you get to the final 16, you're at least going to have 3 or 4 Filipinos, right? So I drafted 2 Filipinos on my fantasy team. Those were the 2 that went out like in 2 rounds. Meanwhile, you got Lee Van, Roland Garcia, and Carlo Beato. Well, I still have Beato.
You still got Carlo, yeah.
Yeah. three Filipinos right there in the final 16. Roland Garcia, I don't know how he's getting it done, but he is.
This is just what Roland does. Like Roland always just chomps through a tournament under the radar, and then by the time you know it, he's playing on a day like today against Max, who has had some question marks over the last year. We saw him go deep in the last U.S. Open, Mike. Well, sorry, last year's U.S. Open. Ended up losing, I think, a heartbreaker to, I forgot who it was, Al Youssef, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember.
Or maybe it was Kazakis. It was one of those ones where it got kind of gaffy, where the 9-ball was trekking in. No, I think it was Al Youssef. Anyway, he had his chance to go and put him away, and he didn't. These are two guys who always seem to be around. Max has been on a really good run this event, but both these guys can struggle at times as well. If I'm going to go and pick, I'm going to go with the Filipino here. I like Roland to go and get through, but it really could go either way. Where I think up ahead, up top, Lee Van's a hair more of a favorite over Mellon. Ko-Ping Chung over Yanni. I don't know who the hell.
Yeah,
Yanni
does anybody who's watching today know who Yanni Uski is?
Send me a picture of the guy, because I've never seen him before in my life. I have no idea who he is. I could not pick him out in the lineup, and I watched a ton of pool. I don't know, but I'm going with Ko-Ping. But Yanni's been he's like that 16 seed in the NCAA tournament who just happens to keep on and keep on and keep on and upsetting. And here we are. He's got a chance to go and make his own Cinderella, or continue it rather. But he's up against Ko-Ping Chung, a world 10-ball champion.
Yeah, Ko-Ping Chung looked pretty good yesterday. It would be hard to pick against him, because if I tripped over Yanni Uski right now, I wouldn't know to say sorry, Yanni, because I wouldn't know what he looks like. So someone just pointed out he had a couple donuts that he threw at people. He threw a donut at Billy Thorpe. He threw a donut at Béchard. He can obviously run some racks.
Colin says he almost picked up Yanni in the draft. Collins, I would not have been surprised if you picked up Yanni in the draft, my man. I'm just saying, we would have all been scratching our heads, and you would have ended up in a different spot than what you're in now. Kachi against Filler Mike. This is going to be the sexy matchup of the round.
Well, I don't know. This round, I don't know. Chang and FSR is a pretty sexy matchup too, but Kachi Filler is a money match for sure. Two guys who both won world championships. So, and Kachi is just, he's unflappable. He's just a steamroller, and he's intimidating to walk around the table. He's not a stylish player. He's not a fun player to watch. It takes forever.
He can get on tilt though, Mike.
Thank God for the shot clock, because otherwise we'd be here until 3:00 this afternoon waiting for that match to end.
How brutal was that match with Chua?
Oh my God, it was awful. But he gets the job done. He just finds a way to get the job done.
Yeah.
He
can win. He can win here, but Josh, I think Josh is one of the guys who can get under his skin, by his style of play, by the thing, I'm sure you'll see some roll of the eyes during this matchup.
I think with the shot clock, Josh becomes even more irritating to Kachi, because Kachi's going to need every second, and Josh is going to take 3 shots in his 30-second turn. It's going to be interesting to see that. That match is going to be great.
It's going to be phenomenal. I really like it. Kachi, like we talked about, still has a lot to go and fight for from a number of different perspectives. I think he out of all these guys maybe has a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder when it comes to not being more in consideration for the Mosconi Cup. But if you go and beat Josh, I'll tell you what, it's a really big, first step, because today's really the day. If you want to go and show
today's moving day.
Today is the day where you can really go and make your stock rise in a number of different categories. And beating Josh at a U.S. Open is going to go and do that for you. But I'm still picking Josh. I just do that. The shot clock is going to be one factor, like you mentioned, but it's just hard to go and bet against that guy. It just is.
Yeah, it is. You got Mario. He knows what he's got to do. He's got to make that Final Four at least to even get thought of. So I like him coming out here and you know putting in a good performance. I think he's going to get through this match.
Well, he can get in a rhythm. I remember he was one of the few guys yesterday, or like that yesterday, at the European who had a really great break. There wasn't a lot of them, but he was one of them. And when he got his pace to him, kind of like how Shane did on that comeback, not quite stalking, but Maro's just he can be light on his toes when he starts running racks, and he can be very fluid. Now, if the pressure starts ratcheting up, then it's a different story. But if he's moving fluidly, throughout the set, I like Mario. Chen's the one who knocked out Oscar, though, so even more reason why I'm rooting for the Panda. Uh, I'm kidding, but he's going to be up against it there for sure. It's close to even. Maybe Mario has a slight favorite. Carlo Biotto versus Conrad. Conrad's on my bench, Mike, and my man's still in. That's how strong. That's how strong that team is. I'm just saying. Carlo's defending champion, Mike. You picking against them?
It's hard to pick against them, but I go to these tournaments and it's really hard to pick the defending champion. It's so hard to, this
Very
title
hard.
is so hard to win. People to win it 2 years in a row doesn't happen a lot. So you just wonder when they're going to trip up.
In this era, like in this event with the depth.
Oh, right. It would put him into another level in terms of, if you look at his record over the years, a world championship runner-up, a U.S. Open, 2 U.S. Opens if he won this year back to back. I mean, you're looking at a Hall of Fame resume just there, just those 4 wins, or those 4.
Well, he was in back-to-back world championship finals, but this is different because this field is a lot harder to go and fade. Conrad is a dangerous player. You cannot go and look past him or look into the next round because he plays great 9-ball as well.
Yeah.
From an odds standpoint, you hit the nail on the head. It's so difficult to go and repeat or even to go deep. But if Carlos still around, Carlos dangerous. And out of this group, he's still going to be at a minimum, at the very least, a top 5 favorite to go and snap the event off even from here. Next up, Mike, you got Francisco Sanchez Ruiz against Chang Jun-Lin. This is the other matchup that we just are drooling over.
Yeah. I mean, FSR is just, he's having such a great year and he's such a great guy and you root for him. Chang is just such a machine. He's such a monster. You watch him play and it's amazing how good he is. I mean,
he's kind of got that Kachi style where he just bullies the table.
Yeah. He's plotting, but to me, he's a lot more enjoyable. Even with that, he's a lot more enjoyable to watch than Kachi because his game is so tight. Just love watching him play.
You're gonna have to beat him because he ain't gonna beat you. I mean, he's not gonna beat himself.
He's not gonna beat himself. No. Yeah.
I think this for me is gonna be a letdown for FSR. Not a letdown, but in the sense of,
he made the team.
And
he barely got through his last match. Right, he went hill with Wu
Kunlin.
So I didn't see the whole thing, so I don't know if he had any struggles through the match or not. But
I didn't even know. Until the last rack. I didn't even get to watch it. But
I mean, I got to go with Chang in this match, but it's going to be a fun one to watch.
I'm going with Chang Jun-Lin as well. Right below it, Alex Kazakis against Mark Biesterbosch. I think both of us are going to be rooting for Alex here, Mike.
Yeah, 100%. It was. I mean, you thought maybe Alex would have a letdown after beating Shane. Didn't. Looked really strong in this next match. I can't remember who he played after to get to the final 16. Who did he play?
You had
Thomas Kaplan, Polish player.
Strong player, similar to Mark.
Yeah, they are similar players. So I like Kazakis in this match.
Well, give me a final, Mike, out of these 16 players.
Well, I got to look at the see how they stack up as far as the brackets go. I'm thinking, Chang is on the bottom. Chang is on the bottom side.
Give me one with your head, and then give me one with your heart, Mike.
I'm going with Chang on the bottom side and Lee Van on the top side.
Is that your head or your heart?
That's my head.
What about
and then
your
I'll
heart,
go
Mike?
I'll go with Chang to win.
Okay, and what if your heart's picking, who you like to see in the final?
Depends. Are you talking about my Team USA heart? Because if my Team USA heart is I'm either rooting for Mario or Alex to win the tournament.
Oh God, what an ass that is, Mike. That's funny. That's true though. That's true. You want to see them
You
sitting
know,
there in
yeah,
December if
if you
you're rooting
want
for
to
Team
see
USA.
Team Europe, not that these guys are bad players or they make Team Europe worse,
No,
but
but we
I'd
know,
love
we
to
know.
see a first time player like Mario He on Team Europe. I think that helps Team USA. So yeah,
Without a doubt.
I'm going with Mario He to win the whole thing.
I if I'm picking with my heart, I'm going with the Alex versus uh Josh final, and let the man from Greece go and cement his Mosconi Cup spot, and just rip it out of the young Germans' hands. That's my heart talking though.
Yeah.
If I'm going with my head here, hell, you know what, Mike? I might still go and pick. No, let me think. If I'm going with my head, I haven't seen a lot of Mario this event, but I know what I saw the last event. I'm gonna go with a Mario versus Lee Van final, with Lee Van taking it down. Um, Lee Van just finds a way to stick around, a ruthless Filipino player with not just money game experience but tournament experience as well. None of these names go and phase Lee Van.
Right.
We talked about him facing Filler at the Derby City final, and he's in that same bracket. So one of them have to come out of it. They're not looking past either opponent they got, starting off with Mike, and it's going to be uh, a great event, a great day rather.
Great day.
Starting in a few minutes. So you guys
And
check out. I think they're going to be on what, Mike? YouTube,
well, they're going to
Facebook,
be
and
the commentator top table match is going to be on DAZN in the US, but they are going to be showing tables 1 and 2, one of them on Matchroom's Facebook page and one of them on YouTube. But neither of those matches will have commentators. So you'll be able to watch 3 matches around.
I know I'm going to be sweating it, and I hope you guys will as well. Go show some support. Get the DAZN app. Watch on YouTube and Facebook. Me and Mike will probably be on later today. We'll talk some fantasy stuff if he's available, and we'll definitely be talking who's left out, not left out, but left still after today. Ton of great matchups, and yeah, we'll see you guys soon.